This is how to prepare for long hikes. Most of this information I've learned from hiking and backpacking all over the country the last few years. One of the most important steps in this process is the planning. When planning, you want to think about where you'll be and look at the weather beforehand to make sure you don't encounter any dangerous weather. You want to think about how you want to eat on your trip. You want to consider how you'll communicate on your trip in case of an emergency. And you always want to leave behind a very detailed plan, so in case you get lost, people will know where you are, what trails you'll be on, or what time you should be coming back. Most of your essential gear will change based on the location, climate, and season of where you're hiking or backpacking. I'll go over this more as we go over each piece of equipment. Your sleeping gear is very dependent on weather. You can really use any tent as long as it's small and lightweight enough to strap down to your backpack. Your sleeping bag, on the other hand, must be a suit for the weather. If you're hiking in the winter in a colder area, you must have a winter weight sleeping bag. These are normally heavier, but they'll keep you warm down to 0 or 32 degrees. For the summer, you'll want a lighter weight sleeping bag. These won't make you overheat, and they'll be much easier to carry around. You'll also want a pillow or whatever else will help you sleep. I personally bring a pillow with me. A lot of people think it's way too much weight and way too bulky in a bag, but for me, I think it's an essential item to carry around. It's just up to whatever you feel is best. You may already have a pack. If you don't, you need to make sure that your pack is large enough for all of your gear, but not too big. When you pack, you need to make sure you have weight in mind and keep the heavier items closer to your body and lower in your bag if possible. This will make it much easier to hike, and it'll make your bag pull you backward a lot less. Right here, the bag on screen with the arrow pointing to it is one I would highly recommend. It is the Red Cloud 80 from Kelty. This image I actually pulled off of their website. It's one of the best backpacks you can get for the price. Choosing hiking boots can be a very confusing process. You want to choose a pair that's comfortable yet still snug. You don't want to choose a pair just based off of price or reviews you see online. This can cause you to get a pair that's not right for you and can cause you to blister or have more issues during your hike. A lot of people don't even get actual hiking boots. If you look on the right of the slide, you can see a trail runner. A lot of people that I've hiked with prefer these because they're much lighter weight. They're normally not waterproof, but they do dry quicker when they get wet. You also want to think about having camp shoes. On the bottom left is something I saw extremely commonly while I was hiking, Crocs. They were very easy to clip on by the strap and carry around with you. These are nice for once you get to camp and you can get your tight hiking boots off and let your feet air out a little bit. The images of the hiking boots and trail runners on this page were brought over from rei.com. Staying hydrated is very important while hiking. On the bottom, you can see I have images of some hiking water bottles and a hydration bag. The hydration bag can slip easily in your backpack, and you can drink through the tube without having to pull out a water bottle while hiking. You also need to think about large water storage. If you're hiking with a group, you're going to go a long distance without water, which is very possible. You'll want to have a larger bag that could also be folded up and won't weigh anything when not full of water. If you can look on the top left, that's about what you'll want for these types of occasions. You also need to worry about purification. Not all the water you'll have access to will always be pure. In the top right, you'll see a pump, which is a very common and easy way of purification. You can also use tablets, which use a chemical that's non-toxic that you can drop in your water, and it will purify any water that you can find out in the wilderness. Other important items to have with you are something to help you communicate. This can be in case of emergency or just to let someone know that you're off the trail. It can be a cell phone, radio, or whatever else works. You also want to have something to help you navigate. This can be a map or GPS. You'll have to prepare or store your food in some way. Some people prefer to only pack things like granola bars for long hikes, while others like to bring meals that they'll have to cook. If you do that, you'll have to have something like a camp stove. And for any food that you'll bring, you'll want to have some safe way to store it away from animals. First aid kits are normally very general, but you'll want to make sure you have some essentials for hiking, like moleskin bandages. Hat and sunglasses is always recommended, and make sure to bring comfort items if you think you need them. The only comfort item I really ever bring with me is something like a pillow. Some people don't want that. They'll bring other things. Just make sure it's light and small enough that it's easy to pack. The most important thing you can do to prepare for a long hike is to train. I have seen many people that had all the equipment they could have ever needed and a pack that was plenty light, but they weren't physically ready for their hike. Even if it's just stopping by a state park one day a week and hiking 4 or 5 miles with a month coming up to your big long hike, that'll be huge in the long run.